Good morning. It's great to have a couple of minutes here to talk about Countervail. I'm glad I caught you in the elevator, and we have a couple of seconds. My name is Bill Basinger. I'm the CEO for Countervail Corporation. We're an early stage, small company. There are two of us in the company, a lot of experience, over 25 years in the biomedical industry, over a number of sectors. And we're in the process of commercializing a novel use for an existing FDA-cleared drug that's already on the market, and that novel use is as a protectant against pesticide poisoning and nerve gas poisoning. And our opportunity here is that existing drugs that are on the market and the ones that we're aware of simply underperform. They don't do the job in protection. Our drug has been shown to outperform all of the other drugs so far. And it's also been on the market and used safely in humans for close to a decade, so it's a safe drug. So the IP is patent pending, and we have the exclusive worldwide commercialization rights to that. Markets look pretty good. We're looking at initial market opportunities of about $350 million relative to its applications, with an upside growth opportunity to $2.7 billion because of the additional applications of the drug. We believe at exit we can break the $100 million mark and bring a valuation of over $500 million to the company. And right now we're looking for $3 million to get our first product indication submitted to the FDA. And in return for that investment, we calculate out an annualized return at time of exit for our investor at a handsome 42%. So we're looking for money, and you're looking for investments. Would you like to talk about this a little later?
Who's your customer?
Great question. We have a diverse number of customers, such as first responder organizations. We actually see this drug possibly at some point being provided to households for prevention and preparation for potential threats of nerve gas attack and pesticide poisoning. But we've got some large opportunities as well in federal agencies like the Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security. There's some large stocking programs that exist to bring chemical countermeasures in preparation for potential nerve agent attack. On the pesticide side, large organizations like the World Health Organization and their supporting foundations and world governments, we think, will have an interest.
With two individuals, it seems pretty impressive that you've discovered this repurposing of a drug. How is this done, et cetera, and wow. Give some background.
Okay, well, we didn't do this. We actually came into the opportunity. The discovery was at the University of Maryland School of Medicine, and our principal investigator really ran across this not totally by accident, but has had investment already made by the Army and a division of NIH to the tune of about $5 million to do the R&D and to develop the drug to this point. So for us, we stepped in and picked up the commercialization license for it.
Are there clawback clauses with the military if you don't reach certain milestones?
Say that again.
Are there clawback clauses where maybe the military could take back intellectual property if you don't reach certain milestones, or from University of Maryland? Yeah,
good question. There's the IP is actually jointly owned by the Army and the University of Maryland. Army has signed the commercialization licensing to the University of Maryland, which we picked up. The ramifications of underperformance, or I should say the milestones, are not really prohibitive. We've actually extended a couple of them. They've been very flexible. If we, for instance, if we don't aggressively move the technology forward to market, or we try to gouge the government and that sort of thing, they do have some recourse that they can take, but we don't plan to do either one of those, and we're making progress so far.
SBIR funding?
Yeah, I just completed submitting a fast track for that, and you can actually get, that's one of our routes to self-funding without private equity, and just submitted one for $2.7 million, which actually would be enough to get our first indication in. Thanks. Okay. My name is Bill Basinger, and it's a pleasure to be able to talk to Blackso about potential synergies between our two companies. Countervail is an early stage company, and we're in the process of commercializing a novel drug discovery that was found at the University of Maryland. Our focus for this technology is in two problem areas. The first is the threat of the use of nerve gas by terrorist organizations on the civilian population and the military populations. And the other focus is this problem of neurological damage and, of course, death that can occur from exposure to a large class of pesticides. The opportunity that we have is that the current drugs that are available and the ones that we're aware of in the pipeline simply don't get the job done relative to protecting against these poisons. The solution that we're bringing to the game is it was found that an existing Alzheimer's drug that's already on the market, it's been cleared and been used for a decade, provides 100% protection against lethal exposures to nerve gas and this large class of pesticides. It's also found that this drug provided protection to brain tissue from attack from this pesticide as well, which pesticides and nerve gas as well. And it was also found in the R&D that's been done to date that it can be used either prior to exposure in the anticipation of an exposure and be effective, and it can also be administered shortly after an exposure as an antidote. It's also effective there as well. The drug itself is a small molecule, and it's been found to rapidly be absorbed with oral dosing. And as a result, we have the ability to produce a dose that's in a convenient tablet format. Where we come into the
real quick.
Yes.
As far as your market goes, is this is your proposal that this drug be stockpiled by local municipalities or governments, or exactly what would your delivery system be?
Yeah, we've got several opportunities there. I'll talk about them in just a second, but we have opportunities for stockpiling within the Strategic National Stockpile. There is stockpiling, of course, with the military, but there's also use with the military. They actually have an existing drug that underperforms ours that we intend to replace. So there's use as well as stockpiling, as well as expiration dating turn, you know.
And then you talked about, as far as exposure to pesticides, do people anticipate exposure to pesticides, or are they tested after? And what's the window as far as treatment goes after pesticide exposure?
Yeah, those are great questions, not easy answers, but the answer is yes. I mean, if an agricultural worker is walking into a field that's being sprayed with these types of pesticides, then you can certainly anticipate it and take something in advance. There's an existing market of acute exposure that's being treated with current drugs, and it can be used there as well. The amount of time post-exposure is directly related to the level of exposure. So for really super acute lethal levels, you need to get administration within 5 to 15 minutes. For damaging exposures, sublethal, 3 hours, 6 hours, that sort of thing. So you've got a little bit of time to work with it. Okay. So where we come into play is we picked up the worldwide exclusive commercialization license for this, and we've branded the drug for our indication as Vertox. The R&D that's been done to date shows some very practical applications in the real world relative to using the drug. It can be used as a tablet for pre-exposure situations and as an injectable for post-exposure. And some examples, military soldiers can take this when they're in high-risk situations, first responders perhaps on the way to a pesticide spill, agriculture workers, again, before walking into a sprayed field. Tablet also, we think, can be used for post-exposure indications for asymptomatic individuals, those with mild symptoms and that sort of thing. The market. The market effectively breaks into two major chunks. The use for protecting against pesticide exposure, and the other half, of course, is protecting the military and the civilian population from potential nerve gas attack.
Can you just explain whether or not all of your market projections are based upon a dose price relative to the same as the Alzheimer's drug, different than the Alzheimer's drug? You know, what kind of market pressure are you putting on people to just get the Alzheimer's drug?
Yeah, good question. Fact is, we've actually allowed for potential price erosion relative to competition and off-label use.
So is it 2.7 billion on a dose basis? Because obviously the Alzheimer's drug is chronic, and yours is not likely to, I hope not likely to be a chronic administration, unless we're in constant nerve gas attack.
Right.
So
it is on a dose basis.
But on a dosage basis, is your 2.7 billion based upon the per dose price of the Alzheimer's drug? Some discount from that?
It is some discount from that. Current pills
Yeah.
are going for about $275 to $350.
Okay.
And we've estimated the market opportunity, potential market opportunity at $2 for the tab. So we've allowed for some price erosion there. As a matter of fact, we may be able to take some of their business with that.
And our IP attorneys, I'm sure, will be crawling all over this, but it's unclear to me that because you have a use patent that you can actually sell the drug, because a patent doesn't give you a right to sell something; it gives somebody else the right to stop you from selling it. So presumably the Alzheimer's company's still got composition of matter patents.
They do not.
They do not. They don't have any process patents.
They
and
do
you know
not.
how you're going to make the drug.
No, as a matter of fact, the Razidine, which was the brand name that was being sold for Alzheimer's, that patent expired last December for that use, and about a dozen generics jumped in, which actually works in our favor.
Okay, so this is a generic drug. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
But we'll put a small twist on it, as well as when we have more time,
Right.
talk about how we protected those markets and the approach that we've taken.
Yeah, but because that's a concern of ours. We've been in this position before with repurposing out of patent drugs, and there's no patent violated, even a use patent violated, if a doctor prescribes the Alzheimer's drug for a fire department. There's no patent violated.
You're absolutely right. However, when a physician would use this drug, it would be in an acute situation to treat the top poisoning, and it would be done as an injectable. And there are no
quite literally, unless the company's involved, there's absolutely nothing from a distressed municipality who believes in this threat. Having a doctor write a prescription to stock the fire department with the Alzheimer's drug, as long as none of the existing sellers for the Alzheimer's drug are actually inducing that.
Yeah, I understand that. We actually think, because of our price structure and the ability to do this through generics, we actually think we'll take some of the Alzheimer's business. It won't be the other way around. That's what we believe. But I'll tell you, for post-exposure, that will be in an injectable form for the need for the rapid dosing.
Okay.
And there are no Alzheimer's injectable forms out there.
And so you'll need to do a full drug approval for that.
Not full drug. I mean, we can still do a 505(b)(2). We
Okay.
can still take advantage of that. Yeah.
Even
Yes.
for this new use.
Particularly for this new use. Yeah.
Because of the new regulations too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So just to bring things into real world perspective here on the market piece, we're anticipating current opportunity to about $350 million with an upside to 2.7. Primarily, that upside is in the pesticide pre-exposure opportunity, because it simply doesn't exist today.
Excuse me, how do you propose getting into this potential military care or chronic use for the military for potential exposure, maybe if the world turns into code red?
Oh, well, the preparatory work there is to develop appropriate relationships with the Department of Defense and generate those sales in advance, and we've already started the process. And I guess to put the $350 million into real world perspective, we would anticipate a stocking order with the strategic national stockpile at about $150 million, so it's not an unreasonable number. And we expect the short-term opportunity with the nerve agent, anti-nerve agent product, longer-term growth in the pesticide area. Okay, competition. There's no other drug out there that protects the brain tissue like Vertox does. We know that the current drug that the Army is using has some dosing problems, doesn't protect the brain, and it's also been implicated as a cause of Gulf War syndrome. There's another drug that's been pretty well funded that's currently in development that we know by the nature of the drug has some problems. It doesn't protect the brain because it doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier, and potentially produces some adverse immune side effects. And it's going to be over $1,000 per dose and can only be given as an injectable, not too ideal. Vertox galantamine, which is the generic name, has been shown to outperform all the other candidates so far. Our business model, really at the core of what we're doing here that gives us the advantage, is that we're repurposing an existing FDA-cleared drug for a new indication. And that buys a lot relative to reducing your cost and time, and for that matter, reducing your risk to get the product to market. We're leveraging R&D investments that have already been made. I mentioned that by the U.S. Army and NIH to the tune of about $5 million. And we're using an outsourcing model. We're not doing a number of things ourselves, which I think opens the opportunity for some synergies between Blexo and Countervail. We're not planning to do our own manufacturing. We need a manufacturer. We're a pharmaceutical company. We manufacture. We're not planning to do any distribution ourselves. And so to get into our more diverse targets, you've got a sales force, you've got a distribution network. We can make use of that for mutual benefit. The current management team, will just briefly talk. There are two of us. There's myself, the CEO, and Mark Lynch is our president and COO. We've got over 25 years of experience in the biomedical industry and diagnostics, pharmaceuticals. And we built organizations in large and small companies. Our inventor and principal investigator and collaborator is Dr. Edson Albuquerque. He's the chair in the Department of Pharmacology and Experimental Therapeutics. He's well known internationally. Quick look at our numbers shows we intend to introduce our first product at the end of 2010. We believe we can grow at exit 5 years post initial product introduction to over $100 million, and we believe that we can build a valuation between $500 million and $750 million at that point in time. This is a quick look at our development guidelines.
I'm having a hard time with the stocking model as a business model because the only way it continues is if you're slow to penetrate the market. If you're fast penetrating the market, you get a spike, and that's great, but it goes away. Can you just verbally tell me what goes out past that, and
yeah, sure.
why it continues to grow and sales grow instead of, I would have expected more of a peak model that drops off.
Yeah, I think it won't drop off. It'll flatten out on the nerve agent side. The growth opportunity is in the pesticide area that's to be realized. The pre-exposure piece doesn't exist. It's something that has to be penetrated. Right. So the bottom line here is we think we have some partnering opportunities. We need some manufacturing, your manufacturing company. There's distribution opportunity, which we need. And if we get as far as talking about acquisition, certainly we have global markets that we can appeal to. You're interested in global markets. It's certainly a high margin product, which you could see from our EBITDA at exit. And since you manufacture and distribute, it fits well into your current operating model. Thanks.